Dr. M. Pallam Raju, the Minister for Human Resource Development, Mr. Bernard Phillip, the Acting High Commissioner of Australia to India, Mr. Philip Bullock, the Chair of the Australian Workforce and Productivity Agency, Dr. S.S. Mantha, the Chairman of our All India Council for Technical Education, Mr. Mahalingam, Mr. Dilip Chinoy, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, such a strong response that we have from Australia and all our friends from Australia. A warm welcome to all of you to this conference, the second in the series with Australia as our partner. And this is really one of the most significant bilateral conferences that we are having on this subject in India, and really CII is very happy to play our role in this. May I very specially welcome Dr. Pallam Raju, the Minister of Human Resources Development. We are indeed honored to have you, sir, amongst us. Your presence has a very special significance here today. The introduction of vocational training in schools has gained great momentum under your leadership and your guidance, and thank you for taking much time and your time to really get this and get this movement forward, and really we value your intervention. Your personal intervention also as the chairman of the Australia-India Education Council, the AIEC, has steered the working groups and has become one of the strongest partnerships in the country. Mr. Minister, thank you very much for being here today with us. Also here with us is Mr. Bernard Phillip, the Acting High Commissioner of Australia to India. It's really been a pleasure and a delight to have from the Australian High Commission the solidarity that we have seen in this very important mission that we have taken upon ourselves. Thank you for your support and being here. A warm welcome also to Mr. Philip Bullock, the Chair of the Australian Workforce and the Productivity Agency, the Co-Chair from Australia of the Skills Working Group of the AIEC. There's been a tremendous enthusiasm that we have received from every member in the working group, and your unstinted efforts have allowed us to witness this strong delegation from your country. We have here today over 100 strong delegation members from Australia, and we are really delighted and encouraged. May I also make a very special mention of Dr. S.S. Mantha, the Chairman of the AICTE. His wholehearted support has allowed us to engage with all our important stakeholders here today, and this has been very, very effective, and thank you, Mr. Mantha, for really taking so much of interest. Dilip, as a co-chair of from India of the Skills Working Group of the AIEC, has ensured participation from the Indian SSC, industry, and of course all the training providers. The India-Australia Working Group has been one of the strongest in our country and has led through various action-oriented programs that we have seen so far. And as we all really know, India and Australia really share a very strong and a warm friendship based on multicultural democratic traditions and institutions. Many complementarities exist between India and Australia. Both, of course, are the members of the Commonwealth Group of Nations. Our bilateral relationship has gained further momentum since India's economic reforms started way back in the early 90s, and we have made rapid strides in all pertinent areas, including trade, energy, mining, science and technology, information technology, education, and defense. We from CII have had a very special position in Australia, and we really look at Australia as a very strong partner in both our business and our non-business work that we do amongst the two countries, and we are proud to have really operated a representative office in Australia now for several years, and it's been led by Mr. Darren Gribble, one of the former High Commissioners of Australia into India. And we do believe with a huge domestic market, human resources, skilled manpower, expanding economy, and demand for infrastructure development, India presents vast opportunities for trade and economic cooperation with Australia. India has attained leading positions in many areas, as you know, like the IT or the IT-enabled services, pharmaceuticals, engineering good, automobiles, science and technology. Today's meet here is really a means of endorsing all the efforts of the past to build even stronger relationships. Skills can be a binding force for the bilateral relations, as it is about understanding people. Besides the trade initiative, skills development will strengthen relations between the two countries. There will be deeper understanding of cultures and a society, as skills is all about working with real people. The focused business-to-business meetings are a platform to establish partnerships. For example, Australia's qualification framework and industry skills councils are internationally recognized and have only recently been updated and endorsed. There has already been some measure of interaction between staff of Australia's Qualifications Framework Council, industry councils and bodies in India. The emerging framework and sector skills councils in India may benefit from a more active engagement between those who developed the Australian framework and those doing the same for India. India has a lot to learn from Australia in this regard, and I'm certain all of you will have fruitful interactions and build long-lasting relationships. The establishment of the Australia-India Bureau for Vocational Education and Training Collaboration, the BVETC, and the Australia-India VET missions of 2010 have helped to reveal the potential for a greater degree of engagement and collaboration between Australia and India in helping develop the skills of India's workforce. The India-Australia Skills Conference 2013, the second in its series, the first of which was held in Perth in Australia in July 2012 under the aegis of India-Australia Working Group, is another reminder to the commitment of both countries to have skills development in the skills development space. The Australia-India Skills Conference 2013 comes with the theme Training and Industry Bridging the Divide. If we are to grow our economy as such, create jobs, we need to act and encourage governments to cooperate to think innovatively and build robust linkages. As I mentioned, CII has taken deep interest in this partnership with Australia and has set partnerships with various industry representatives, government organizations and industry bodies in Australia to promote a trade and investment and people-to-people linkages, which are indeed very important from the point of view both of India and CII. And some of the specific things that we have been doing with Australia includes that we do take both CEOs, missions and business sectoral delegations to Australia every year. Interactions with the trade and investment delegations from Australia is one of the most important activities that we do. We also from CII promote cooperation in the mining sector, including technology, facilitation of training more than 1,500 doctors and 500 paramedical staff working in the field of HIV, AIDS, medication and prevention by Australian trainers since 2003 in partnership with the Australia-India Council. Cooperation with various institutions in Australia to connect with India and Australian companies working in the fields of life sciences, cooperations in skill development and best practice education. And as you see, the engagement is indeed very wide and deep. We also encourage Australian business to invest in India. We hope that the Australia and India would be able to conclude a closer economic cooperation agreement or a free trade agreement. I think both governments can be ambitious, yet pragmatic in approaching the negotiations for such an agreement and ensure that it will be in the interest of both countries, mutually economically beneficial for both our countries. Before I conclude, I just want to say that when CII started its engagement in skills, it was way back in 1987, and I was much younger than what I am today. And I was tasked to actually, at that point in time, work on the first skills competition that CII was holding nationally. That was the first time an industry body was organizing in 1987 a skills competition amongst its own member companies. It was being held in Howrah near Calcutta, and we had a phenomenal response at that point in time from all over the world, all over the country, various companies from all regions of India wanted to participate and send their workforce to really participate in the skills competition that we were doing with the membership of CII. And we were the first time doers of that, and we really didn't know how to go about it. And we had a team working on it. It was, I still remember, it was a 8-9 member team which was drawn from the industry and the government to help us and guide us to make that successful. And while we were planning it, we had sent this team to Australia to actually learn as to how do we conduct this and how do we do the first ever engagement of skills competition in the country. And so that visit that team made was our first learning from any international first international learning as to how to go about organizing a skills competition in India. We visited that in those days, the World Skills Olympics, which was being held in Australia, and drew a lot of learning to really organize for the first time in the 80s. So our connection goes back very long time back in terms of understanding skills from Australia for India. And we really value this engagement, and we are so happy to see such a strong response from Australia as we see today. With that, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a very warm welcome to each one of you, and thank you for participating here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, for your address.